You don't exist. Not officially. There's no LinkedIn profile, no business card, no email that traces back to anything real. The building you work in doesn't have a sign out front. The parking lot has no name on the lease. Somewhere in a server farm in Northern Virginia, there's a file on you. It has a different name at the top. That name is you now. Welcome to the CIA. Level 1. The Applicant. You're sitting in a waiting room in Northern Virginia. Fluorescent lights. Beige chairs. The man across from you is reading a magazine from 3 months ago. You've been here for 2 hours. This is the polygraph waiting room, and the polygraph is the part they warn you about. You applied 18 months ago. You've already survived the background check, the psychological evaluation, and the interview where they asked you things your therapist hasn't asked you. You answered all of it, honestly. Mostly. The polygraph operator comes to the door. She looks like someone's accountant. She is not someone's accountant. You sit down. She attaches the sensors. For the next 4 hours, she asks you questions so specific and so personal that you briefly consider a career in landscaping instead. They want to know everything, every foreign contact, every substance you tried at a college party you thought nobody remembered. Every time you lied on a form, the machine doesn't decide if you pass. She does. She's been doing this for 22 years, and she's seen every tell there is. You don't have a tell. Probably. 3 weeks later, you get a letter. You passed. You start in September. You tell your family you got a government job. That's technically true. Your onboarding packet looks exactly like the briefing screen from a stealth game you played in your basement when you were 14. You briefly wonder if that was a coincidence. It was not. Level 2. The Analyst. Your desk is in a building most people drive past without looking at. You have a badge, a clearance level that sounds like a Scrabble hand, and access to information that would make a journalist physically ill. You are an analyst. Your job is to take everything the collectors bring in signals intelligence, human intelligence, satellite imagery, and turn it into something a decision maker can read in 4 minutes over breakfast. The president's daily brief gets about 45 seconds of attention if you're lucky. You have to be right in 45 seconds. You have 6 monitors. On one of them right now is a satellite image of a vehicle parked outside a building in a country you can't name in this sentence. It's been there for 11 days. The license plate traces to a shell company that connects to a man who attended the same university as 3 others, who all disappeared within 14 months of each other. You haven't slept well in a while. The analysis you write today will be read by people who will make decisions based on it. You don't get to know what decisions. You write the report. You source it meticulously. You hedge where you need to hedge. You make a call where you need to make a call. You've been wrong twice in 4 years. You remember both times with a clarity that is not healthy, but is probably useful. Your threat mapping software has a loading bar. While it loads, you stare at the tiny green army figurine your colleague keeps on his monitor. He's named it Dave. Dave has been there longer than anyone in the office. Nobody touches Dave. You don't ask about Dave. Your report goes up the chain this afternoon. Somewhere at the end of that chain, somebody's going to make a phone call based on what you wrote. You won't know about it. That's the arrangement, and you made peace with it on approximately your 3rd week. Level 3. The Case Officer. You are not your real name right now. That's the first adjustment. The second adjustment is that you've been living in a city you moved to 16 months ago, working a cover job you actually go to every day, filing actual reports for an actual company that does actual business and has absolutely no idea who you really work for. The cover is not a costume. The cover is your life. You live it fully because the alternative is getting caught, and the alternative to that is considerably worse. Your job is human intelligence. Human. You recruit and run assets, people inside governments, organizations, or networks who have access to information and who, for reasons ranging from ideology to money to the fact that you are very good at what you do, have agreed to share it with you. Finding an asset takes months. You identify a target. You study them. You learn what they want, what they fear, what they regret. You engineer a coincidence that puts you in the same room. You have a conversation. You have another one. Somewhere in the relationship, before they ever agree to anything, they already trust you. That part matters most. Tonight, you're meeting your most important asset in a parking structure on the 3rd level. You arrive 10 minutes early and check every car. You do this not because you're paranoid. You do this because 4 years ago, someone didn't, and that person now has a very different job. You check every car. Your asset arrives. You have 12 minutes. They hand you something small, and you don't look at it here. You talk about their family for 3 minutes because they need that, and it costs you nothing. Then they leave. You walk back to your car without looking around. Looking around is how you look like someone who has something to look around for. Your tradecraft manual has an entire chapter called Natural Behavior in Unnatural Situations. The first rule is, do not adjust your collar. You have adjusted your collar twice tonight. You are working on it. Level 4, the NOC. There is no diplomatic immunity. That's the thing you think about sometimes. If a case officer gets caught, they get expelled. Embarrassing. Survivable. If you get caught, you are a private citizen of whatever country your cover says you're from, and you will be processed accordingly. And there will be a period of several hours where nobody at Langley will have any confirmed idea where you are. You are a NOC, non-official cover, the deepest layer of the clandestine service. No embassy connection, no official title, no fallback. Your cover is a private sector identity, so thoroughly constructed that it has a credit history, a professional reputation, former colleagues who remember you, and a social media presence that has been carefully aged over 4 years to look like a real person who is definitely not you, being definitely not a spy. You speak the language without an accent, not a reduced accent. No accent. You know the regional dialect, the local slang, the football team everyone in this city cares about too much. You have opinions about that team. You've rehearsed them. The asset you're running has access to something that 6 other intelligence services are also trying to get. You know this because 2 of them already attempted to recruit the same person, and your asset told you about both approaches. You were very calm about it. Then you went back to your apartment and stress cooked an entire pasta dish at 11 o'clock at night. You've been under for 19 months. When your mother called the cover number last month, you answered with the cover name and held it together for the whole conversation. That one was hard. Pasta again afterward. Under your apartment's loose floorboard, there's a sealed bag. Inside it, a different passport, cash in 3 currencies, and a burner phone. You've checked. It's still there 412 times. You check in the same way every single time, so the habit itself looks like nothing from the outside. Level 5. The paramilitary officer. You came from somewhere else. SEAL team, Special Forces, Delta. You didn't walk in from a campus recruitment fair. You were selected because you already knew how to do things that take other people years to learn. And because the agency occasionally needs problems solved in the most direct and quietest way possible. The Special Activities Center ground branch operates in places that don't appear in your deployment orders. Because your deployment orders don't exist in any reviewable system, you plan and execute operations that sit 3 classification layers above what the regular clandestine service handles. You work in small teams, sometimes alone. You've run operations in countries that are not at war with anyone in any official capacity. You've done things that will appear in a classified annex of a report that won't be reviewed for 30 years. And by then, the details will be so redacted, it'll read like a recipe with all the ingredients removed. Tonight, you're supporting a rendition operation in a city that has a name, but not one you're using in any communication. You're not the decision maker. You're the part that happens after the decision is made. The operation takes 19 minutes. Your team moves through it with the kind of calm that isn't the absence of stress. It's what stress looks like after 10 years of being compressed into a very small space and converted into fuel. One thing goes wrong. On the way out, you fix it in 30 seconds. It'll get 1 line in the after-action report. The line will say, minor complication, resolved. Radio call signs tonight are chosen by whoever's turn it is. You are Overlord. Your number 2 chose Shepherd. Your number 3 chose Wraith. Your number 4, who has been in the agency for 15 years and has the energy of a man who has absolutely seen everything twice, chose Biscuit. Nobody questioned Biscuit. You work with Biscuit. Level 6, the station chief. You run the station. That means you run everything and are technically responsible for nothing that can be traced to a letterhead. A CIA station sits inside an embassy, usually behind a door that isn't labeled and isn't interesting. You manage the case officers, the analysts, the relationship with the host country's intelligence service, which is sometimes cooperative and is sometimes the kind of cooperation where you share specific information for specific reasons and never anything else. The host service is doing the same thing to you. Everyone knows this. It's fine. Probably. You've been a station chief for 3 years. Before that, you were a case officer for 11. You've run assets in 4 countries. 2 were burned. 1 was doubled against you. 1 you still think about on the nights when sleep doesn't come easy and the ceiling of your apartment becomes a very detailed thing to stare at. The cable that came in this morning changes your current operation significantly. An asset's cover may have been compromised. You don't yet know by whom. You have 4 hours to decide. Extract them, stand them down, or hold and assess. The wrong call either burns an asset you spent 2 years building or pulls someone out of a network that took 4 years to penetrate. There's no clean option. There never is. You make the call. You write the cable. You hit send. Then you go to a meeting about next quarter's budgetary allocation because the station chief also does the quarterly budget. And that part of the job nobody makes a movie about. On your desk, there is a framed photo of a beach. You have never been to that beach. It came with the frame. You kept it because it looked like the kind of thing a completely normal person would have on their desk, and that has always been the entire goal. Level 7. The ghost. Nobody knows you're here. Not your old unit, not your neighbors back home. Not the 2 people from your previous life who still text you on your birthday, to which you respond 4 days late with something deliberately vague, because the birthday itself you spent in a car park in a city that does not know your name. You are as far inside the system as the system goes. Your personnel file exists in a compartmented record that requires a specific authorization to access, and that authorization requires a second authorization, and that second authorization goes to someone who, if you ask most senior officials at Langley, they would tell you with complete sincerity they had never heard of. You don't run operations. You make operations possible. You've been in place for 7 months, building the picture of a target that a team you'll never meet is going to use to walk through a building they've never visited as if they've been there 100 times. Because of you, in a way, they have. You know this man's schedule better than his own family does. You know which side of the bed he sleeps on, which route he runs in the morning, which coffee vendor he switched to 14 months ago, and why. You know things about him that he has forgotten about himself. The call comes in, 12 hours. The team is moving. You close the laptop. You leave the cafe and walk the route you always walk, at the pace that suggests no particular destination. You pass the target's building without looking at it. You know something is about to happen in that building. You don't know exactly what. That's not your part of the work. Your part is already done. Somewhere in a warehouse in Virginia, there is a box. Inside the box is a file. Inside the file is a page with your real name on it. That page has not been looked at in 3 years. Technically, the box doesn't exist. Technically, neither do you. 7 levels, 7 lives, none of them fully yours. The CIA doesn't exist on paper the way other agencies do. Its budget is classified. Its workforce is classified. The exact number of people who know what it does on any given day could probably fit in a medium-sized conference room. Somewhere right now, there's an analyst at a 6-monitor desk writing a report that will reach a desk that changes a decision, that changes something in the world and never gets a name attached to it. Somewhere there's a case officer in a parking structure with 12 minutes and something small in their pocket. Somewhere there's a knock who just stress-cooked pasta at 11 p.m. and is checking a floorboard for the 413th time. None of them can tell you about it. That's the job. That's always been the job. If you made it this far, you already know too much. Might as well subscribe.